Hey guys, Captain Smash, Smash Strength Lab, and today's topic is how to squat better. So back on the board, I've got a list of a couple things. Now, most people when they walk into the gym and they start squatting, they're squatting very improperly. So here's a quick 7 tips to help improve your squat and make it a little bit better. So now, first, the setup. Get tight, then move smoothly back into position, okay? You don't wanna be taking a whole bunch of steps. And we're gonna do a video that kind of demonstrates all these with the setup and all that, so stay tuned for that. Get your breathing correct. So most people, when they set up in a squat, they're breathing through their chest, or they're trying to fill up their lungs full of air, but they're breathing up here versus down into their belly, which improperly sets up the core. Remember, the core muscles need something to brace against, so picture kind of your diaphragm kind of like a balloon, and you're expanding outward from the ribs down and inflating that area and contracting all those muscles around there. So proper bracing technique is key. Hips back first. You see a lot of people bending their knees forward first and then their hips trying to follow them. Don't do that. Bend your hips back first, or push your hips back first and then start bending your knees, okay? Very important. Now the goal after the hips back and bend the knees is always to get the hips between the knees, okay? You want to achieve a nice deep squat, because then you're going to be achieving, well, getting close to parallel. Not everybody's going to be able to get to parallel, but you want to try to aim for getting your hips between the knees, because you're going to get more range of motion and better overall leg development with the hip, knee, glute, and ankle complexes from a full depth squat. So drive through the floor with your heels and toes upon reaching the bottom position, okay? So now, a lot of people like to just drop down and then try to rebound on the way up, okay? Sink into the squat smooth and controlled. Once you hit bottom depth, drive back up, okay? And then also extend through the hips at the top, lock out. You wanna make sure that you're standing tall with that weight up on your back. You don't wanna have a little sag in the hips. So let's check out some video and we'll go through the whole process step by step. Okay, so I've got my squat bar set up here. We're gonna work into the position correctly and then show you a couple different angles so you can know kind of what to look for. This is why I shoot a lot of videos, just to try to check my form, to see if I'm actually squatting to depth or squatting correctly. My hips are using in a correct alignment and whatnot. So here we go. So first thing, we get our grip, we get a nice tight grip, a little bit outside shoulder width. This is going to depend a lot on your shoulder mobility. Some people may not have it yet, so they might have to go a little wider with their hands. So typically I just like to line up evenly in a comfortable grip, and then I walk myself underneath the bar, dig it in, right in between the traps and the shoulders, flip my elbows back and pull. I extend my legs, step back, 1, 2, okay? Now I'm in a good position to set up. So I'm going to take a good breath, get my lats tight, flare my knees out, and then I'm going to push back with my hips and bend my knees. Now on the return, I'm driving forcefully through the floor with my hips, and I come back and I lock my hips up to the top, okay? Don't let yourself sink in like this and then start to go back down, okay? Lock it out. And then when I'm done, I'm just going to walk into the rack and put it down. Boom. Okay? So, first things, get your grip, set it up tight. Something that's comfortable on the shoulders. Generally, you want a little bit wider than shoulder width. That way you can grip the bar, pull it underneath, set it on the back of the traps, in between the shoulders and the traps. Now, depending if you're a high back squatter or a low back squatter, we can get into that later, but that's a little bit different topic for a different day. When I step back, I always step back and try to use a 1-2 stance. That way I'm not coming out completely far away from the rack. I just want enough range of motion so that I can get into position and get deep. I set my lats, I take my breath, filling up, tuck the rib cage down a little bit, set that core nice and tight, flare my knees out a little bit. I sit back and bend the knees, okay? So now, a good advantage for a lot of you will not to continue pushing the hips back, as in like a box squatting maneuver, but just kind of unlock them. Unlock them first, start the knee bend, and then carry on down. You'll see this more from the side as we switch to the side position. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so now we're gonna shoot a side angle shot to show you where the bar should just kind of slide directly down through the midline of the foot and then back to the starting position. You'll notice that a lot of lifters will have a lot of forward lean in there, and it's always my goal as a coach to get them squatting a little bit more straight up and down. That way they're not stressing out their back too much. Not that this type of squat is incorrect necessarily, but it's just a lot harder on the lower back and not as engaging for the legs. So check it out. We're gonna run through the setup position. We got our grip nice and tight. Pull ourselves into position. Pull that bar right in between the shoulder blades and the upper traps. Get our little step back, nice and wide foot stance. Driving those elbows. Take a breath. And then we step back in. Walk it into the rack. So now, as you can see, that bar line goes directly down through the mid-center of my foot, okay? That's my center of gravity. I want it to be that way. That way I have a good option to push straight back up. The easiest way to go up and down is straight up and down, not in a zigzag or not in a nice forward flexion where you're doing more of a good morning type lift. So this is not incorrect again, but it is more advantageous to you to keep your back safe. So now I'm gonna do a little angled shot down so that you can kind of see how the knees will flare apart, or that you want to set your knees apart as you're going down into this lift. That way your hips can get nice and deep into the movement. If your legs are too close together, you're gonna end up doing like a skier squat where you're stacked on top of the quads and you can't really go down any deeper in a position because the bar's on your back, and it's just kind of, you hit a point where you just can't go anymore. So you need a little bit of external hip rotation to kind of bring those knees apart so you can sit down into a deeper squat. So check it out. So now you can see as I start the movement, you probably can't see my hips go back, but you can definitely see my knees start to bend and push outward, okay? That's engaging the medial glutes and those external hip rotators. So that way you can sit down deep into a squat and use your full leg power, not just your quads and your hamstrings at the bottom of the squat, okay? So that's all I got for improving on your squat. Hope you enjoyed these little tips. And if you like this video, give it a like. And if somebody else might like it, give it a share. Chat with you soon.